So, while Nigerians are mourning the dead in Jos, the conversation somehow became about a birthday. Now, I need you to let that sit for a moment. Just let that sink. You see, this quote has been attributed to a social media post by Cubana chief priest. So as usual, I searched for the original post, but couldn't verify it directly. I couldn't see it on any of his social media handles. However, there is a report published by the Punch newspapers yesterday, 31st of March 2026, referencing that statement, referencing that quote. You see, a lot of Nigerians have reacted differently to the insensitive reframing of a deadly attack where dozens were unalived, with the suggestion that the timing was meant to embarrass the president of Nigeria on his birthday. You see, that's not just a bad take. It's not just psychology of denial or psychophancy. It reflects a deeper pattern in how tragedy in Nigeria is processed through the lens of power and loyalty. You see, what he did is a classic psychological move. He shifted the center of the story from victim to power. Instead of people were unalived, it becomes this affects the president's image. You get that? That is cognitive reframing. Now, Cubana chief priest post does two things at once. Now, he openly admits being haunted by the video of the woman holding her child from the Angwan aftermath, right? Now, he also laments the endless cycle when with this buying stop. How do people desire happiness in buying one another? And he criticizes the Plateau State governor for hiding in a bunker instead of showing courage. Then he pivots. He flipped the switch. This was clearly done to embarrass our president on his birthday. Now, the most dangerous part of that statement is not that it was wrong. It's that it reveals how some people actually see reality in Nigeria. Because in that moment, the victims stop being the story, and power becomes the center of gravity. Now, I need you to imagine this. A mother sits in the dust of Agwan, cradling her only son's lifeless body, whispering through tears. She calls his name, Promise, over and over and over, as if love alone could bring him back. Then Cubana chief priest saw the same video. He admits it left him cold. He asked the questions we are all asking. Then he pivoted to this was clearly done to embarrass our president on his birthday. Now, most people saw his post and reacted emotionally. Some called it insensitive, tone deaf, out of touch. And they are not wrong. But if we stop there, we miss something deeper. Because that statement is not just offensive, it is revealing. You see, in Nigeria, people close to power, people who benefit from power, often process events differently. They subconsciously ask, how does this affect the system I'm aligned with? Not what does this mean for the victims? So tragedy becomes not human loss, but political optics. That's why his first instinct wasn't really grief analysis. It was image management. But image management doesn't stop at words. It often shapes timing and decisions. Because while Nigerians were focused on the buy-ins in Plateau, another decision was being quietly made. The Senate approved a major loan request in less than 4 hours. 4 hours, in less than 4 hours. No prolonged debate, no national scrutiny, no collective pause to ask questions. No. Now, I'm not saying the two events are directly connected, but I'm asking something more important. Is it a coincidence? Or are we looking at a pattern? Because in Nigeria, moments of national grief often become moments of political convenience. When attention is fixed on tragedy, other decisions seem to move faster, with less resistance and less scrutiny. And here's where it becomes even more interesting. Okay? Part of the justification for that loan is tied to infrastructure, including ports. The same ports we recently heard about in a £746 million deal with the UK. So now the question is not just about timing. It's about coordination. The question is about transparency. It's about whether urgency is being applied equally to both human lives and financial decisions. Now, this is where it connects back to what we are really talking about. Because distraction is not just political, it is psychological. It's a subtle psychological game. When something is too horrific to process, the brain sometimes avoids randomness. This is Psychology 101 now. Pay attention. So instead of this is chaos, failure, or systemic collapse, it becomes this was planned, coordinated, targeted against Tinubu's image. Why? Because a conspiracy feels more controlled than chaos. You getting that? It's easier to control a conspiracy than to control chaos. If the attack in Jos was to embarrass Tinubu, then at least there is intention, there is structure, there is meaning. You see, it is psychologically easier to accept a conspiracy theory than people are being unalived and no one can stop it. You see that? You see the psychology. And let's not forget, this is also how dehumanization works. This is how dehumanization works. No one said the victims don't matter, but the structure of that statement did something even worse. It removed the victims from the center of the story. The victims now became background, and the real event became Tinubu's birthday, his image, and his embarrassment. That's how soft dehumanization works. Not by denying suffering, but by repositioning it. So I'm not making this video to join the outrage, but to make you understand that this is not about Cubana chief priest. It's not just about Cubana chief priest. This is about how power in Nigeria reshapes perception. When people buy, and the first question becomes, how does this affect the president's image? Then we are no longer processing reality. We are protecting narratives. Now, think about that. Think about what that means. A country where people buy it, And the first instinct is not grief, not investigation, not accountability, but image management. This is not just a communication problem. This is a perception problem. The issue is not just what was written or what he wrote. The issue is why that way of thinking exists at all. Why do we think that way? Because right now, in Nigeria, it's not just justice that is uneven. Even empathy is uneven. And maybe, just maybe, that is the part we should be most concerned about